Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. We want to thank you for joining us here this evening. We have an exciting
This
and
morning,
really,
this evening.
the morning, afternoon, evening. I know that we're different time zones. We have a Neonam from Ghana, which is this would be their afternoon.
Mhm.
And let's see here. We have Courtney, Ontario. That's morning. We have Linda. Linda, I'm not sure where you are, but welcome. Great to have you here. Let's see here. We have Francis. Welcome. Fulera from Belgium. That's probably about 6 or 7 hours ahead of us. So that's kind of late afternoon, I would think. And Guylaine from Quebec. This is Eastern time. Bienvenue, bienvenue, bienvenue. And then Bill from London, Ontario. That's just at our doorstep, 2 hours away from where we live, which Eastern time. So welcome, welcome everybody. And Tammy prepared this training, folks, way back, and it's a really, really, really good training. Of course, we're going to be working together here this morning, well, our time zone, and the training we want to talk about here. Let me just share my screen so you can all see that. And here we are. Is who is your dream stealer? This is a really, really important segment of our Saturday training, and the reason why is often we have dreams, we have goals, we have things that we want to achieve, place we want to go, things we want to buy, whatever this situation may be for you. And often there will be some dream stealers. And who are they? And they come from all direction, including from within. So Tammy, I'm going to turn this over to you to kind of get started, and we'll go from there. So please go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah, just so you know, Chris and I, when we started the industry of entrepreneurship, network marketing, when we started, we came from a different mindset than we are today. Obviously, we've grown a lot in the profession. We've taken tons of courses on so many levels. Seriously, so many levels of clearing the past and all kinds of stuff, because we don't realize what we're carrying inside as adults. Excuse me. We had carbs last night, and it's kind of still sitting there.
Yeah, too much
That was
carbs.
a bad move, Chris.
And by
But
the way, I just want to welcome Randy here from Louisiana. Welcome. Great to have you with us here this morning. Go ahead.
yeah, welcome, welcome. So yeah, so we tend to come into business, and we tend to carry a lot of baggage. So sometimes it's good to sit back and get some clearing so that we can move forward to abundance. And so I wanted to do this specific training today because I know a lot of people get stuck. And I know that because we are human beings, right? We're one of those people who have been stuck many times in life. And we all have our stories. Every single one of us has a story. We have a sad story, we have happy stories, we have all kinds of stuff that's going on. But what is actually controlling us is the big thing, right? Going into adulthood, starting as entrepreneurs, especially when people are coming in from an employee mindset as well. So let's go back to the beginning, because we were all once upon a time, we were all just this beautiful little clean slate, and everything that has been embedded into our mindset and our DNA has come from our upbringing, whether it's who we are or not, right? It's embedded in us, and we tend to carry that with us, and often you don't even realize it. And it wasn't until I started taking different courses that I realized some of the baggage that I was holding from my father, from my mother, some of the things from the influence from the teachers. And I'll kind of share a little bit of story along the way, not because my story is important, because we all have our own stories, but to remind people that sometimes we get so stuck and we don't know why. We don't know why, and until we know why, it's hard to move forward. And some of you right now are listening to this and going, you know what, I get it. I'm there right now. Some of you don't even know what I'm talking about until we started moving forward in the training. So let's go ahead, Chris, with the next slide. So we talked about the past programming. Well, who was the influence for you in your past programming? I just put some things, or maybe more for you. You know, parenting. Our parents were our influence. Our siblings, daycare, the school system, religion, friends. You know, as we're growing up, our spouses are also part of the programming. Even even if we've been through spouses, some of you have happy marriages for so many years, and congratulations and kudos for those who really stuck it through, because having a really healthy, strong relationship, it takes two people, and it takes really good communication and connection and growing together. So sometimes we have no control over that environment, right? And then there's the work environment, the workplace. So these are all the things that will uh, paralyze us, and sometimes without even realizing. So let's go forward, Chris.
Actually, Tammy, I want to add a
Yeah,
point
yeah.
to that
Chris,
slide.
please add, because I know you've got your story. We've all got
Yeah,
our
no,
stories.
it's more of a reference.
Mhm.
Folks, in that line of past programming, now I want to prepare you that it's a book that's a little bit controversial, and there's a whole history as to why it took 70 years for this book to be released. And I
Mhm.
recommend the audiobook. And the book is called Outwitting the Devil. It's the author is Napoleon Hill. And the reason why they waited 70 years to release this audiobook or this book, but I would really recommend the audiobook. And the reason why is because they play the role of a human, and then the devil, and how the devil's trying to trick the human by whatever. And again, folks, if you're it's not a religious book, folks. It's more of an opening to really get a better understanding of our environment, from family, from education, from the school, from siblings and spouse and work environment and everything, what we're surrounded, what we see, what we hear all the time, every day. And it amazes me that that was done. Well, now it's I mean, that was 10 years ago. It's 80 years, at least 80 years ago, maybe even 90 now. I would probably say between 80 to 90, whatever. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. I really highly recommend it. It's a great book, just to kind of give you a better perspective on exactly what the past programming, how it will impact your present and future. So that's kind of wanted to add to this, Tammy. So I'm going to switch the slide for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it, because I was thinking about that book this week, and yeah, it's amazing when you listen to it. Sometimes it's like he's talking to you. You have to be there. You have to get the audio, to really identify, the how the environment, how other people can affect who we are growing up. And yeah, and at the end of the day, we're all in control as adults. We're all in control, but often we get controlled without even realizing it. So, it's really important to do exercises when you get through those stages where you feel stuck. Some of you may not be stuck at all. Some of you might be just flying with this. And I know a lot of people, are doing so well, but maybe there's people within your organization that need to hear this so that they can break free to be able to start moving forward, to start aiming towards the goals that they didn't feel that they could do. So take the time, you guys, to do this. Chris and I, we always sit back and evaluate. Always, always, always. And that's how we've always been able to move forward and hit ranks, is because we always had to sit back and evaluate what's going on. What's going on in our environment that's preventing us to move forward, and what are the things that we can do in the moment that we can fix moving forward. Like we sit down and we work on this stuff, and I'm telling you, the personal development that you'll get from this will be really, really amazing. And identify what are the things that are stopping you right now. So Write down your passport. Take a picture of this. Don't do it now. Take the time to do this in a quiet space, early, super early morning, late at night, wherever your brain is functioning the best, and just be in a quiet spot, relaxing music, whatever, and just hone in on this because this is going to help to free you from a lot of stuff. So write down any limiting beliefs, any emotions, any fears that are stopping you right now to take action in what you want to achieve. What is your goal right now? What is the main goal that you want to achieve in your life, in your business? What are those? And put them there. Now write down on the left side, write down what's holding you back. On the right side, that's the goal. Okay, so you need to write this stuff down and then you need to go deeper into these things. So into each limiting belief. And often that will bring you back to a situation. I know it has for me. And phenomenal, phenomenal growth that came from that in talking to the people that were in my environment that I had to go back to be able to free myself, not to blame, but to be able to free myself to move forward. And I'm
You
telling
know
you,
what, Tammy?
really great exercises to go through.
And Ghislaine, you're really on target this morning, and I can appreciate the fact that it's something that it's probably kind of your part of your core, and this is so important. It's absolutely so important, folks. The reality here is what we're talking about here. For some of you, because I was one of those, I wouldn't spend 2 minutes thinking about that, just chasing the next, the next target, chasing next target, chasing next target, and get to your goal. I've always been goal oriented and driven and all of this stuff. But what's really important is understand your core programming. And you know what I came to understand when I started doing this? I mean, that's decades ago, actually.
Mhm, mhm.
It's, you remember, Tammy, I used to say, for me to succeed, damn, I got to bleed. I
I
used to say that
remember
all the
that.
time.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I bled quite a bit. It's figure of speech here, folks, but quite a bit to get to any kind of level of success. It was freaking hard all the time. Why? It was my programming, right? I remember, and my parents didn't mean wrong by that, that they were raised that way, and it's passed on.
Mhm.
Is I used to be a dreamer. What's wrong about dreaming? I mean, that's where everything starts, right? If Elon Musk was not a dreamer, I don't think he'd be where he is today, right? I'm using him as an example, whether you like him or not. My point here is my parents used to tell me, especially my dad, used to say, stop dreaming, come back to reality.
Mhm.
What he didn't realize, he was hindering my growth. He didn't mean to. That was his programming that he passed on to me. So I grew up thinking that dreaming is not really a good thing. It's wasting your time. But no, it starts with the dream, and from the dreams, then you develop your desires as to what's important to you. And then when you start understanding the process of that, then you break this down into goals, and you break your goals into tasks, and or I should say steps, and then breaking down into tasks where you actually do the daily operations that get you to achieve that goal, which in turn will impact your dream. All of that, all the things that I was able to evolve into. It's because I was aware of my programming, and I started identifying what stopped me. So what Tammy's talking to you about here, this is not just air and words. This is those of you that are taking this seriously are the ones that will be breaking fences. There's a lot of people around us that means well, but they could also be the reason why we're not reaching what we want to reach, because they keep stealing the dream. They don't mean to. They just don't know any better because they haven't gone through this process of awakening, right? And it's not wrong. It's just, again, is what do you want out of life? How do you want to live your life? And what state are you into in the process? So this training, folks, I mean, we can expand on that, and people spend enormous amount of resources financially to get trained on these kind of things. And when they come out of that, they turn around into a complete different person because they recognize where the blockage. This is how important what Tammy is sharing with you here. This exercise, if you do, it will impact your life in a better way for you. Back to you, Tammy.
Yeah, in so many ways. And I know teachers, they do their best to teach us, and some teachers just have a certain way, and that's the only way. And unfortunately, the kids in today's world, there's a lot going on, especially with technology and everything, and yeah, it can be challenging for teachers and for students for wanting to evolve. But I just want to share one experience with all of you that I didn't allow to happen, and the great thing that came out of it. And when I was in high school, our home economic teacher, I did great in everything in her mind, but we had one project where we had to make a garment, and we had to buy our own, obviously, material, our thread, the pattern, whatever we had to buy, and then we were making the stuff in the class. Long story short is I didn't follow the pattern, and because I didn't follow the pattern, I was failed in that part of the home economics course. And I was so angry. I was so discouraged in the moment. I was angry and discouraged, but I didn't realize how powerful that was for me moving forward. I became a successful swimsuit designer, by the way. And for somebody who told me, that I, trying to hold me back from my creativity, and trying to keep me in line of following a direction, because that's the way she wanted it done. And I just exploded with my creativity and became a successful swimsuit designer. So don't allow, and for those of you who are listening to it who have kids, really encourage them on their creativity, because often the environment can affect people moving forward. In my case, it propelled me, but not in every single case. And there was different cases that I really had to fix my programming. And one of them was money. My father was a gambler. So I grew up and everything was just free for all, just throwing it out there, not realizing and thinking that there was lots that was going to continue coming back, but realizing that that wasn't even my programming, and learned financial organization, structure, all of that stuff, investment, all that stuff, and moving forward. So these are the reason we're giving you examples again is it's for you to go back and find out what are those things that are really, really, really holding you back at such a big level, and you don't realize it until you start digging into this. And those who will take the time to do this will get some phenomenal results. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen over time, obviously, but it's the awareness moving forward. So the next slide is basically saying that our number one dream stealer is ourselves, because we are allowing things happen, thinking that we're not in control or not even realizing the situation itself. So every day we have a choice. Every single day, every single second, we have a choice on what we want to achieve in our life. If we look in the future, or we look in go back in the past, we're not in control, you guys. You're only in control what you decide to do right now, and what you're setting your goal right now, what you're going to accomplish today. What are you going to accomplish for the week? You can set the goals, but you are always in control now. And if you can program yourself to be more in the present, where you have control, to control the direction, then the more happy you're going to be in your life. If the past is controlling it, you're stuck. If the future is controlling it, it can become fearful and unknown, and people will stop because of the fear of all of that. So yeah, our emotions play a big role in our lives. You say a natural instinctive state of mind derives from one's circumstances, moods, or relationships with others. And often people allow that emotion to paralyze them. Okay, so it's when you're in control in the moment and you're aware of situations, even your own state, right? When you wake up in the morning, are you a person that wakes up in the morning super happy, excited, or are you a person that wakes up in the morning and just drags himself along through the process? Or do you wake up in the morning listening to negative stuff, or do you wake up in the morning just going into that gratitude state and, being happy throughout your day? So you got to pay attention to all of this stuff, because all of this will reflect how you move forward in your business and how others will see you as well. And also in working with people. Okay. So we always have to work on ourselves. Always, always, always. And Chris and I constantly take responsibility on things that are happening in our lives and in our businesses. We sit back and evaluate. And I put some characters here because I met a lady who did a phenomenal training one time, and it was absolutely amazing, because we need to have those visuals, right? And we all have all of this inside of us. The perfect example is that movie, Chris, there. What's it called? Inside Out, with those characters.
Oh, the cartoon character from Disney, Inside Out, 1 and 2.
Yeah, they have the anger, they have the fearful, they have the anxiety was the new one, right?
That's the new one that came out. The anxiety that took over.
Yeah, I mean, it's a phenomenal movie to be able to understand that we have all of these emotions inside, but what do we want to really drive the force, right? And
Yeah, and folks, just to add to this, Tammy, I really recommend, if you have Disney Plus, I think it's on Disney Plus. I don't know where else it may be playing, or you can just rent the movie or whatever. Is Inside Out, the original version? Yes, it's cartoon, but there's a really interesting message. Yes, it's a young toddler to a very young girl, now turns into a teenager where anxiety takes over. But that really kind of brings a very good perspective. It's even a little emotional, actually, as you start watching this movie, because it brings a good understanding from our upbringing in the environment that will impact and affect who you are and who you become based on choices. Anyway, back to you, Tammy.
yeah. So I just put a few pictures here to represent, what we all go through in business and in life, right? So the next page is the next slide. This was the big exercise, which was really, really a lot of fun. Is who's driving your bus, right? What emotion is constantly driving you? That's controlling you in your life, because there's so much out there today. There's so much information. There's so much distractions. There's so many people with opinions. I mean, I could go on and on and on. You guys know what I'm talking about. Social media, it can be so distracting. It really can. If you go on social media, go for a purpose. If you're in business now, if you're having a time off and you feel like scrolling and doing whatever you want with that time, that's not productive. But if it's something that you like to do, well, that's different. But I'm telling you, it can really become a habit. There's a lot of things that can control people. I found that through the pandemic times. It was interesting watching behaviors of people through the pandemic times, especially like in the network marketing space. I don't know how many times Chris and I, people would say to us, oh my gosh, if I could only do this full time. How many times have you said it or you heard it? And you can't do it full time because you have a job. You have something that holds you back from doing network marketing full time. And all of a sudden, people have an opportunity to do it full time. And I was looking on some people's pages, and you know what they're doing? They're painting the house, they're renovating, they're gardening. I mean, they're doing all of these things that are distracting, that took them away from their actual goal, was to be able to do this full time, to be able to earn the income so that they could hire people to do these things and all this stuff. And yeah, it was interesting seeing all of that happen, because when that happened for Chris and I, um, we were traveling all the time. Some of you leaders know what we're talking about, because you guys were those people too, where you were traveling all the time, before the pandemic, because that's what we did in network marketing. We create these drives, and then we would go for events, and we those who were building international. You guys know what I'm talking about. We were always going somewhere international, always on a plane, always dealing with different time zones. All of that stuff was happening. And then everything kind of went to a halt, right? So we had to learn new skills. So while everybody else is gardening and being distracted, and maybe blaming what's happening in the environment, all of this stuff, or being angry and frustrated, all of this stuff, we decided we need to increase our skills, our skill set on social media, on different areas. And I'm so happy we did, because we've learned so much, so much. So there's always a blessing in everything, you guys. It's the way you
Mhm.
see things, right?
So basically, Tommy, you started at this point where the dream stealer was you, and I love the bus analogy, because if we go back here, these are all the different personalities reflecting some of the images that Timmy talked about here, right? And the fact is, who's driving your bus? And if you look at this point over here, which one would you, what personality you think would be most helpful to you to be able to be successful in your business? Well, the one that's the action taker, right? You don't want the one that just goes with the flow, the one that always look at the negative things in life and whatever the situation may be. But the one is the action taker. And this is what's important that you understand, is take action. In our business, with God Backup, the people that are at the top of the food chain are the action takers. They constantly organize trainings. They constantly present. They constantly create an environment for people to thrive, and they invite people to join. They participate into third-party validation calls and creating, help them support the events that they create, encourage them to create their own events. And this is the person that will lead, that will actually create success. So the dream stealer that Tammy talked about here, it's all about you. And when Tammy talked about we had to reinvent ourselves, trust me, we have, right? Social media was not a thing we were doing. Today, we got a social media post that goes on at least twice a week, in some cases a lot more, into our social media, right? Which we created one for Chris and Tammy on TikTok, and I one for Instagram, and we have these little videos that are popping in with, reflecting the meaning of our social media platform, right? So people can recognize what are they trying to do, what are they trying to represent, who did he represent, and all of these things. Tammy realized that when we tend to be close to some people because of the way we work and the habit that we develop for ourselves, we tend to transcend that to the people that are close to us, which we recognize that they're the same people that will rise. We can see them into the recognition and the lists that are going on within the God Backup community. Folks, this is all by design, based on our mindset, the way we think. And I think the world is distracted by what's going on around us, and we lose ourselves in that jungle of information. So it's important that you identify what matters to you. God, that training is so important, right? So that I'm so glad that Tammy brought this in for this training session today. So now the second point that we want to talk about, Tammy, and pass this over to you, is what is the second dream stealer? We referenced it earlier.
Yeah, so it's the people allowing the environment. They constantly allow the environment to affect their behaviors today, rather than focusing, having a target goal and focusing in the moment on how they can move the needle forward. And you know what they can do today. What can I do today in my business so that I could have the result tomorrow? Right. So it's constantly focusing on the target and the action of today. You need a plan, though. You need an execution plan up to that target. So you need to take time to create this stuff, you guys. This is your success map. And I think a lot of people in today's world, more than anything, they're just going with the flow of everything. And nobody has direction. And so what's important is to get back to having a focus, having a goal, having a dream, and aiming towards what you want to achieve. And Chris and I always say, you know, people are watching us. We need to be the example of what somebody who's having success looks like. What are they doing on a daily basis? How do they move the needle forward? How do they handle objections? How do they handle jealousy? I mean, we went through something this week. It was crazy. But you know what? You don't take that in. You have to let things go, right? Because it's not your stuff. Often
You know,
people start to hold on to the stuff of other people's behaviors, and you can't. You need to let it go, because you have no
you're
control
absolutely right.
over how people talk or what they think or whatever it is. And all people try to do is help people, and sometimes not everybody is going to align. So it's all good.
That's a fact. I mean, it's crazy, folks, and there's a lot of jealous people around you. And as you get success, folks, you become a target. But remember that if people don't talk about you, or let me rephrase that, if people talk about you, it's because you represent something that maybe inspires them or threatens them. Right? Nobody talks about someone that nobody cares about or that has no impact. So don't be offended when just laugh. You know, we got people writing ridiculous emails on things that we've never heard about, but for some reason they seem to know the whole story. And we're reading about this and learning, really? Well, what is that? When did that ever happen? Right? It's crazy what people will make up and things people will say just because they're trying to, I don't know, steal your thunder. But again, if they're doing that, it's because they're threatened by you. And if you're threatened by you, it's probably because you're doing something right. And again, I'm talking in a positive sense of the word. And so, folks, the reason I'm telling you this is don't be don't be fearful of negativity around you. People only talk about you if there's something to talk about, right? So just laugh about it. But here's the thing: don't lose focus. Stay the course in line to your goals and dreams. You know, I really see the vision with God backup. I understand the challenges that we face in being in business in our world today. It is life. But folks often are not used to deal with this environment that seems so shaky in business because it's never been in business. So the environment impacts them a lot. And then they listen to everybody that don't really know much, but they have a loud voice. And because of that, they think that they may know something that they don't. And often you may know a whole lot more, but you're just not, maybe it's not within your personality. And it's amazing to me how many people get their dreams stolen because of what they hear or what they see. And then they will follow some blind people that unfortunately are loud, and they've never got any success, but they seem to talk like they do. But at the end of the day, folks, you have to follow your own path. Stop following everybody else's path. Follow yours. But your path is going to be driven based on what you will discover about yourself. What Tommy talked about listing the things that impacts you and all of these things to recognize who you are. Once you get there, I'm telling you, folks, then you can blossom in ways that you've never seen was possible. You could be that member of the family that just breaks free from that barrier that's been created for generation, maybe even centuries, right? So the fact here is you need to discover who you are, and don't let the environment be the gap between your dreams, right? And you create your own reality, not what someone tells you. Come back to their own reality. This is what this training is all about. And Tammy, if I may just kind of touch on this slide, because I know I'm affected by that, right? The biggest time stealer is TV. I'm telling you. And I'm guilty like most of us. We get distracted. Sometimes I'm so busy thinking, processing, and I'm looking for distraction because I'm always in my head. And the TV, well, it's someone else's thinking, so I can get out of my head and just kind of listen to someone else's story for a minute, right? And then you get caught into these series sometimes. But just be mindful of the time you spend in front of that, right? You may want to work a schedule where I'm not going to watch a TV and I wake up in the morning or in the afternoon or whatever. Or if I do it, no more than an hour. And then after that, I go back and do my job. Because I know a lot of us work from home. And when you work from home, the fridge is just around the corner. The TV is just a flicker away, right? So the fact is you have to be disciplined. Otherwise, again, you're not going to spend the time or put your time where it needs to be. And unfortunately, folks, we're not getting any younger. We're aging every single day. And it's really interesting. But as we move up in age, I find that times is even shorter. Things change a lot. It's like, my God, it's already been 10 years, where before 10 years was like a century. Now 10 years that was just yesterday,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's crazy as we age, right? The distractions, the cell phones,
Yeah.
I know I'm into a little bit of politics right now. I think it's normal, right? You know what's going on in November 4th or 5th. I know in Canada it's happening soon too, and what's happening in the US will impact Canada. And so I'm all driven into all of that. But be careful, because it's very time consuming instead of doing the things that are in line to your dreams and goals, right? So back to you, Temi.
Yeah, and I put the picture of the mom and the kids, because when you come into network marketing, you're basically, it's a part-time thing, right? So most people are already working a job, and then you're adding something on, and then that starts to take time away from family. So you really have to control that, you guys, and not make it where you need to focus. The kids are a burden, because children are not burdens. And what I did with my kids, it was always a game, and I made them keep me accountable, because we had a fun day. We always had something to look forward to. If mommy accomplished this, and then we're going to have that. And we did our vision boards together. We actually did vision board training for those who like to do it. We did vision board training. It was really interesting, with the parents in one room and the kids in the other room. And then when I was monitoring both sides, the children had so many things on their boards. It was unbelievable to see that experience. No concept of money, no concept of not being able to have it. It was all just fun. It was a desire. It was exciting. For them, they don't have the baggage. And then there's the parent who has their paycheck, and everything is based and limited on what they have today. And so it was hard for them to put things of vision on their boards. It was such an interesting exercise. And then we brought the parents together, the parents and the kids. So the parents got to see the kids, what they did. And so now there's this accountability. Your kids want to have a great life, right? They want better things in life. And so now it's like, oh my gosh, I better get my butt in gear. That's the way it was for me, by the way, when I saw that. And that's when we started going, okay, so even if it's small stuff, you guys, it's small stuff. And those of you who are parents or grandparents taking care of grandkids, this is a really good exercise, because they got to allow you and keep you accountable to do this for a couple hours and they have to entertain themselves, the snacks are there, whatever. And once that's accomplished, then we get to do this. Well, my kids really kept me accountable. It was unbelievable. It was exciting. And we got our goals done. And you know what? It wasn't about me taking time from them. We did this together as a family. And if you're having challenges with what I'm sharing with you, try this exercise. And you know what? It also taught my kids to be more independent
Mhm.
because they had to do their own lunches. Like I had them doing more things because in order for us to have this big thing, we're in this together. We're a team. So you guys got to do some of this stuff. I got to do some of this stuff. So it was such a wonderful experience. And
Mhm.
the only way you're going to know it is if you do it.
Yeah,
And
be mindful of the distractions and everything else. And I know that still being in a bridge and time gap over here. Here's another one that's actually an important one. Would you agree?
yeah, yeah. People don't like to be rejected. That's the bottom line. I think that's probably the biggest thing. I know it was for me when we first started. When I first started in the industry, I didn't know Chris, and as an entrepreneur, I thought that most people, because I had good relationships with people, most people I assumed would be open, and I was surprised that many were not open at the beginning, of course, because right away it's oh my God, are you nuts? You join network marketing, they're going to take your money. Like I heard all kinds of stuff. And of course, I didn't believe in what they were saying. And I didn't let it affect me. And I would just go on and talk to more people. Eventually, when you have the success, then when you connect with those people, often they're like, oh my gosh, you're so lucky, and not realizing that, you got to go through a lot to have success. And you got to be willing to not listen to the dream stealers. You got to be willing to not allow those rejections affect you, because the truth is they're not rejecting you. Did you guys hear me on this one? They're not rejecting you. They don't have enough information. They might have had a bad experience. They may have had Uncle Bob, who never put anything into it and didn't make any money, telling everybody that this stuff is a scam. And they listen to them and think that this is not going to work. You got to have your own mindset, and you got to have your own vision on where you're going with this, and all this stuff around, you just put it aside. Because honestly, all we're looking for, you guys, are people who want to get ahead in life. All we're looking for is people who want to have a better value with their data storage, that want something that's so simple, that's set and forget. That's what people are looking for, is peace of mind in life, peace of mind financially. So those are the people that you want to surround yourself with. And those are the people that you want to help get to their targets. It's that simple, you guys. I think a lot of people come in this industry and they complicate it so much, and they get so emotionally attached and angry because this one's pointing their fingers and this one's mad because this one's doing this. And oh my gosh, it can, if you allow it to let you affect you, it could be like an adult daycare, and you just like put your hands up and that's it. And this stuff doesn't work. But it's not true. This stuff does work. It works in such a big way. Not just us, but many people, many leaders that are actually following this training, who are going to see this training later on, they get it. They get all of this stuff because they've been through all of this stuff, and they've always stayed true to their goals and their mission, purpose. They've always stayed true to that to get to the target. And to do that in network marketing, you have to bring up people. You have to develop and bring up people into this business. You got to make sure that people are showing up, because not everybody's going to show up, right? So there's so many things that you have to do at the beginning, but then once they start earning a little bit of income, that's when they start to get more involved. Okay, I'm not saying to be a mommy daycare or daddy daycare. Don't do things for them, but you bring them into an environment where they're getting informed. It's up to them if they want to show up and learn. We can't force people to do this. If you force people, you're gonna have people that are gonna be, they're just gonna back off at the end of the day. Not everybody
One
has
thing,
a goal or vision.
one thing that's really important when you deal with rejection and to overcome the rejection, read this statement over here from Steve Jobs. I'm convinced that half of what separates successful entrepreneurs from the non-successful entrepreneur, and one is pure perseverance.
Yes, so true.
You want to deal with the objections and everyone that may not see what you see right now. The solution: stay the course. Now, the fact is, you have to see the vision. You have to understand what it is you're involved to. It has to align with what your goals are. And Tammy and I have done that. That's why we chose to partner with Joel and to be with God Backup. We understand what Dropbox have done, and we understand what God Backup is providing, where at the end of the service of providing a cloud service with an email marketing service and so much more coming for $10 a month, right? Um, on top of that, that's not all. They pay you for telling others about it. This is unique. So we're in a unique situation, but often you're going to be dealing with folks that never been in business and they don't see past the paycheck. So they see what they have now and they compare this to whatever my neighbor's telling me. They may not be accurate, but you don't know any better. So you just listen because they have a louder voice than yours, maybe. And this is what happens in our industry. And the reason why Tammy and I are so, we've always been successful, we don't get involved in projects that we're going to lose. We always get involved in projects that we're going to win. And the reason for that is because we understand the game we're into. We understand the impact that the environment that surrounds this company has to make this company to be a top-notch company. And we're very, very, very fortunate. We're surrounded by some amazing people. But of course, you will have those that say, well, my check is just that. I can't, I don't see it, because they're used to, they think like employees, the next paycheck. And entrepreneurs say, well, I'm going to make this grow by adding this, by doing this, by creating this environment, by modifying this, by improving that. That's what entrepreneurs do. And I'm telling you, folks, we're going places. Don't miss the boat. But if you want to overcome the objections and the dream stealers and the people around you that are thinking you're involved in a scam, well, a scam is to try to sell you something and there's no product at the end of the sale. Here, we do. We've been using it for almost 2 years now. So the fact here is understand what you have and then move forward and stay the course. And don't get distracted because the neighbor's grass seems to be greener than yours. I assure you that if you step closer to his grass, if I may be, kind of give you an example here. I know many of you may not have a different environment, but you know what I'm talking about. The moment you step closer, you will see that they also have those yellow spots that you couldn't see from your point of view for where you were standing before. So the fact here, folks, is stay the course. The difference between success and failure is to persevere, to stay the course. And if you know Tammy and I, almost every training that we've done, there's the word somewhere in there: stay the course. Don't give up. When Tammy started with a previous company before we got back up, and we ended up top of the company again. Why? There's a lot of people that came and go. In fact, there was a magazine that we were featured in, Tammy and I. And if we look at the magazine, I would say there's probably 3 people out of, I think, 20 some people that were on the picture on that magazine. 3.
It's always like that. Yeah.
That is the way it is, folks. There is always going to be people leaving. It is a cycle of life. You will never keep everybody. This is not a dictatorship. If you run your business like a dictatorship, you won't live long. You won't have a bit. Dictatorship is a dying breed.
Mhm.
It's still around, but it's a dying breed. People are not interested in that. You have to create an environment where people are free to roam, but you give them guidance and inspire them in direction that are in line with their goals. That's the future. And then stay the course. Don't get distracted by the environment and the naysayers and the gossipers, because at the end of the day, if you look at their history, you might see that that is their 150th company that have been involved since they started. But in their version, they've been in network marketing for 40 years. You know, I have all these lists of people. But what have they done with that? Nothing. So the fact here, folks, at the end of the day, stay the course, follow your dreams. And if you have doubts, consult with someone that is successful to get their point of view to help you build yours and build your confidence. That's why we invite folks to come and join us on these Saturday sessions. So you can get a reflection from how we see things, our perspective, and we want to help you grow and evolve. Perseverance, stay the course. Now, I know, Tammy, I took a lot of space on this slide. Was there anything else you want to add?
No, it's perfect.
Move on to next.
Yeah, and it's to create a positive environment for yourself and obviously a team environment. People want to be around environments that make them feel better, that help them evolve and grow, that give you a constructive support to help you evolve, and inspiring too. People need that inspiration, and I like doing vision boards. I'm a person. I'm a visual person, so I need to see the pictures, because everything that I put on my board, guaranteed I'm going to achieve, because I focus and we work plans. We have targets, and it means something to us. You know, there has to have a meaning. You don't just slap a bunch of pictures on a board, right? There has to be a meaning and a date of things that you want to accomplish, and why you want to accomplish them. Even if you don't accomplish them on that date, you will be moving towards it. And sometimes you're going to find, you go back to your vision board a year later or 2, like that's an old one there that you're seeing, but you'll go back and you'll look at it and you go, did I really want that? Or maybe that was in a moment, something I really felt like I need, because things change as you get older. Things of importance totally change. Yeah. So you're going to go back and you're going to evaluate stuff. Those who have kids, do it with your kids. I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to bring you closer, and it's going to help them see the bigger picture of where they're going. And then you can work plans with your own kids and help them evolve, instead of hanging out with, people that are not going to do them well in their environment. Create leaders out of your children, right? Have them be a positive example in their environment. So it's always about that, creating environment of positive, and reading, you guys. Whether you have time to sit down and read, or you listen to audiobooks, we all have different schedules. Whatever works for you, however you learn is the best. And just constantly feed yourself, right? Feed yourself with stuff that you want to evolve in, that you want to get better at. And leadership books is always the great ones for our industry, right? Is developing the leader within. What are some of the things that you can do to impact teams, to have growing teams? It could be emotional stuff that you want to work on. Like, I just kind of put a bunch of stuff that I've had in the past and just kind of stuck it together and took a picture. And then decide who's Mentoring, very important, you guys. Maybe Chris, I'm going to let you expand on mentoring, but the bus, you need to decide who's driving your bus every day. Because if you have a goal that you want to achieve and the anger is driving the bus, or the distraction is driving the bus, or the emotional up and down is driving the bus, the fearful is driving the bus, you're not going anywhere. You got to make decision to be the CEO of your company, and to be the example of your organizations. Okay.
Yeah, and when it comes to mentoring, folks, at the end of the day, what's important is sometimes mentors may be someone you know, sometimes it may be someone you don't know, right?
Mhm.
It could be Jim Rohn I never met. Tammy, you met him. I never met him, but he's probably been one of the center point of the decision making that I have made. He's inspiring me so much, and the closest I have been is in my car at the time when we had those DVDs or CDs, I should say, that turn out into digital, you know, audio and our cell phones and so forth, and synchronized to Bluetooth. But I mean, I remember Tammy. I mean, that we
Oh,
used to
yeah.
listen to him all the time. And
Always
in
in the
some,
car. Yeah.
yeah, in some cases, I know Tammy are working in a program that we can mentor a lot of people at the same time. And it's because at the end of the day, folks, mentorship is very important, right? It's very important to keep you in line and to keep you. When I mean keep you in line, I'm not talking in a dictatorship way. It's to keep you in line, to remind you of the things that you chose to focus on, and a mentor will remind you: is that what you really want? Are you in the right direction, in line to what your goals are? And be mindful that if you're mentoring someone, make sure that you don't mentor them based on what you think you want to achieve, but understanding what they want to achieve. And are you in line with that? And you help them be in line with what they want to achieve. That's what mentoring is all about. And one thing that is, as we finish here with the last couple slides here, is drive team on a mission, right? Driven team on a mission.
Driven. Yeah.
This is the thing here, is that you want, there is a mission here that we have, Tammy and I, from the beginning we started this industry. And I remember when we write the book, Freedom Formula, breaking the cycle of poverty 1% at a time. That is the core desire. And I know it seems a little far fetched, because breaking the cycle of poverty, it's not an easy thing to do, right? There's a lot of influence out there, but at the end of the day, if we can help one person recognize their potential and for them to max out their potential, then we have achieved that goal. If that person is living the life that they want to live, opposed to the life that they have to live. It came from a very good friend of mine by name of Dr. Albert from Ghana. He said that on stage once, and I remember that, never forget it. Right? These are things that, and there's so many other people, that so many amazing friends that we have in our lives that we've impacted. Not all have been impacted by financial. Some have been impacted by something, the way we live our life, the way that the things we say, the thing we do. Tammy and I are, well, Tammy has reached the 60. I'm just around the corner from there, and she looks younger than me, so I can say that. But the fact here
No
is,
fear.
the fact here is, training is a very important being part of our lives. I mean, 4 times a week we train. We eat. And I tried. Now, the one guilt is bread. I have to stay away from bread, because in North America, the grains that they feed us is not good. I wish I was in Europe for that. But at the end of the day, these are all disciplines. But there's some things that we do that we know have impacted other people, right?
Mhm.
But the fact is, as a team, to go back to a focus on God back up here, right? You want your team to be driven, right, on a mission to make a better life for others, right? And a cloud service may not be an emotional product, but the fact that my data, my precious, I sound like that movie there. What is it called? Um, anyway, so the precious moments are saved into a cloud while I'm earning a living that gives me the opportunity to live in Florida, or to live into this new house. Or, folks, what better mission can that be for someone? right? So again, word this in a way that makes sense to you, but drive your team on the mission. Very important. And before we get to the last slide, Tammy, you want to, anything you add? We have 1 minute before 11.
Yeah, not everybody's driven for a different lifestyle. It could be helping communities. It could be helping through the churches. It could be helping. Like everybody has a different reason why they're doing what they're doing, and it's right for them, which is absolutely perfect. So what Chris mentioned earlier, it has to be their goals, their drives, their mission. And then as mentors, our goals is always to help them move the needle, help them move forward, help them break some of the patterns that are stopping them from moving the needle forward, right? So, keeping people in the moment and in targets and what they need to do to achieve what they want for tomorrow for their families. And so these are good. This is a good exercise. You guys take a screenshot of this and work on this stuff. If you want to become better in life and be a better example in life, whether it's for your family or your environment or your business, we got to work on ourselves inside. Because when we can do that, and people see you change, I'm telling you, people are going to see phenomenal changes in you, and they'll want to know what you've done. They'll want to know how you got what you have. And we get that all the time. Of course, there's going to be people that think we're lucky or will say some horrible things to try to discredit people. People do that, and it's not your stuff, and you don't have to buy into any of this stuff because you know your own truth, right? So just love on people, and just support is key. Service to many leads to greatness, and those who are doing that the most, those are the ones that are growing the ranks, you guys. Those are the ones that are growing the ranks. Look at them. Find out what they're doing. Find out where their mindset's at. Find out what their target goals are. Find out what other people are doing that are achieving the things that you're looking to achieve personally and professionally. And of course, whatever it is that they have that you seem to want, right? So yeah, Chris and I have always looked up. We always look up to see who's better or has something that we really desire, and we want to learn from the people who have the experience that we don't have, and humble yourself to learn. Okay. And that's it, Chris. I mean, today was an important session. I think every once in a while this has to be shared, and I'm sure that every single one of you who are on this session are probably saying, "I wish I would have had another 10 people or more on this session." Would you agree? Yes or no? And if you really like this session, put a like in the YouTube channel there. Put a like if you like this session. And we need to get more people to see this stuff, because people want better things in life. They really do. Often people are just stuck in life.
Totally agree. And by the way, folks, just to show you, I just took a snapshot just to show you how the cloud works nicely. I took a snapshot of the assignment sheet. It went on my desktop. As you know, or may not be aware, but I'm synchronizing my desktop with my cloud. So I went on my cell phone on the App Store. Excuse me, on the God Backup app, and I went in and simply got the well, can't find my words here today. Simply found the file that was synchronized, and what the link that I'm sharing right now is exactly that slide, right? So we have a really wonderful product here. You just need to learn how to use it.
Yeah.
And even my accountant, right? I think I saved something like 50 or 60 statements that she needed, and it's put into a directory that used to be in Dropbox. Now it's all sitting in there. Again, it's just to give you a practical aspect of how I use my God Backup Cloud and how I use this the transferring of files very easily from anyone that Joel shares every Wednesday night. So we have a wonderful product here, folks. We have a wonderful team here, folks, and thank you so much for attending. Really appreciate your feedback. I think today the honor goes to Enionam and Guylaine, who has provided some really great, insightful comments. So feel
Thank
free,
you.
folks. And thank you, everybody, for your wonderful comments on our training today. We really appreciate that. And if you don't mind, put a like into the session on a YouTube channel. I mean, put some comments in there with your feedback, and that will encourage others to see this important training. So maybe we can have a bigger impact to help them also have success in their business. So everybody, have yourself a wonderful, great, wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.